What is good? What is happening, everybody? It's your boy Ferris Multana, and welcome to the last installment in our road to John Wick 4. We are reviewing John Wick 4. It's we had to postpone it for a couple days. One of us is sick, and I think you can tell which one. Real quick, it was me. I feel like not very good. That's all I gotta say.
Doo-doo.
But I'm not alone. I'm never alone. On this journey with me, I've had my main man Alex with me, talking John Wick, talking gun fu, talking set pieces, talking everything. Let me introduce him. Alex, how are you, my man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. And I was also sick early in the week as well. I had a terrible stomach bug, but I plowed through it, man. It was hard, but I'm sorry you're feeling a little ill, but rest assured you'll get better in the next couple days, I'm sure.
Yep, it is. But on that note, everyone, I would like everyone watching this video to
Two.
like and subscribe. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. We're at 818 subscribers. We're almost to 1,000. We're almost to 1,000. So hit that like button and hit that subscribe button as
Tell 'em.
well. So thank you very much. As well as hit that notification bell on so you know when we go live, when our videos drop. We usually drop them at 3 o'clock. Some other videos have other times, but most of them are at 3 o'clock. So make sure to do that as well. Alex, let's get right into this, man.
All right.
John Wick 4.
Yeah.
Your initial feelings on John Wick 4, man.
um. So, uh, when we talked about when we were reviewing number 3, the day of recording was the Thursday, or I think Thursday night right before the film was going to come out on that Friday. I want
I
to go
saw
see it.
that Thursday night.
Yeah, I saw that Thursday night too.
Yeah, I did.
And wow. Um, there's a lot of words I can say about this film, but what I'm gonna say is that this is probably one of the best action films, emphasizing action I've ever seen. Um, and especially seeing it in a theater, great sound, and it was a great audience. Cheers were had, and it was kind of like a sports arena event, but it was wild. And don't let that runtime fool you, man. You're in for a treat. And to me, I just had so much fun with this. What do you think, Ferris? How did you feel?
It was awesome. It was tremendous. Um, it was a lot of they told the world talked. The world talked. John Wick didn't really talk in the movie. The world was talking. The colors, the action, the other people, they were talking. The world were talking. John was in the world, but everyone else was talking, and I quite enjoy it, man. They get right into it. They get right into it. Alex, let me tell you a story of what happened during my screening. You want me to tell you a story of what happened during my screening?
Hell yeah. Tell me.
The projector messed up.
The projection is messed up.
The projector messed up. So we were watching the movie and it's like frizzing. It's like so I'm like, yo, is this like a movie effect or is the projector messed up? I don't know. We find out it was the projector messing up. And I actually ended up watching the opening scene twice. Which was funny. Because they started it all over. Thank you. Shout to my movie theater. Thank you.
Great sponsor this video.
So yeah, man. So they started it over, and I was really happy. They get right into it, man. And horses, guns, desert, like that opening scene where he murks that homie. He murks the elder right in the middle of the desert. I'm like, oh, we in for a treat. The man just killed an elder.
Couldn't get his ring back.
He said, I sold it. And he's like, bad decision. Pop.
Yeah.
Dead. And I'm like, oh, snap, crackle ball. And then they transition over to Yo, Lawrence Fishburne has a great voice. Lawrence has a great voice. So when he's
The
telling
cold
the
open.
story, he's telling the story while he's walking the dog, whose name is Dog, and
Yeah.
like, and he said, "Are you?" And then he like lights it on fire. And he's like, "Are you ready, John?" And he's holding the suit, and John turns and says,
Let me do that just a little justice real quick.
"All right,
I'm gonna give you the quote.
give me the quote."
I am the way into the city of woe. I
Oh,
am the way into eternal pain. I am the way. I am the way to go among the lost, but those that last forever, as do I. Abandon all hope, you and whoever enters here. That's what Bowery King says to John when he walks in, and that quote is actually from this famous little novel called Dante's Inferno. And if you don't know about Dante's Inferno, it's about a guy who committed a sin, and what he has to do is he has to go through the circles of hell. And while doing that as well, his one of the sins, I forget exactly what the sin was, but his wife died in the process, and he wants to see his wife again. So what
mm-hmm,
he has to do, he has to go through hell, and he's guided by this man named Virgil. And there's a reference. There's a little bit of referencing to that book in I think these films as well, which I watched some videos about that talk about it. Is that Virgil is almost Bowery King is almost like Virgil, and John is almost like Dante. He's kind of guiding John throughout the underworld and stuff like that. And John, throughout these movies has had to go through the underworld and has had to deal with all these underworld assassin stuff going on. But man, when that quote comes on, it cuts back and forth between him punching that board. You're like, oh man, I'm in for a treat. We're in for a treat, Ferris. So yeah, man, I
I'm with you,
was
man. I'm
I
with
was
you.
pumped.
And we actually got a comment in the chat. Ryan Christensen. I went to the theater Friday night with my daughter, and we seen Scream 6, but my heart went to see John Wick 4. Oh man, Ryan, you got to go back, man.
Ryan, you gotta
You
go
got to
see that.
watch it, Ryan. You got to watch it. John Wick is amazing. It's tremendous. But yeah, man. Before we get into more of this, we actually have a message from our sponsor.
Hey guys, it's Justin, aka Hambone, just here to let you know a couple of things that we have going on with the channel. One, we have a Patreon. If you can and want to support us, you can do that. As little as $1. You can join the Discord. We also have a merch store where you can get some cool shirts, mugs, and stuff with all of our different shows and labels on there. And thank you for all of our supporters that have already been there with us.
Yes, our sponsor is us. So listen to Justin do those things. But Alex, now let's get right into it. Let's get right into more of it. So the basic info lines are, Chad Stahelski directed it again.
Coming
This
again.
is his fourth time. Third solo. Stars Keanu Reeves. Stars Bill Skarsgård. Pennywise. Winston Ian McShane. Another great addition. Stars
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Hiroyuki Sanada, as well as Rina Samayukawana. Let me get the name right.
It's the girl who played Akira, right?
Yeah, it's the girl that played Akira. I want to get the name right. I want to do her justice.
Also
Rina,
the
so
late great Lance Reddick,
the
who
late
we
great Lance Reddick. Oh man, you want to talk about a heartbreaking scene?
yeah, man.
Oh my god. Rina Sawadayama. So shout out to Rina, as well as Donnie Yen. Scott Atkins. Scott
Atkins.
Atkins is also in the movie.
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown was just like there. And I'm like, yo, can you do something, please?
You know why he was there though?
Why?
Because and we'll talk about this a little bit later when it comes to the rest of these John Wick films. But Chad Stahelski, who's director of this film, some of the project he has lined up is to do a
Highlander. He's doing the Highlander reboot.
And
yeah.
if you've seen the movie Highlander, the original, Clancy Brown plays the villain, the Courger. I forget what his name is. And I think it was just a big homage to
There can only be one.
There can only be one.
Yeah.
It's better to die. What is it? It's better to burn out than fade away. That's what he says in the movie in Highlander. Yeah. But also, Ferris, I want to let you know too this was the first film not written by Derek Kolstad, who
Yep.
created John Wick.
Yeah. Yep. It was he left the film. So pretty good actually. I don't think it fell in dialogue purposes because it felt John Wick wise. He didn't have a lot of dialogue, but at this point, he's not here to talk anymore. He's here to just kill everyone.
There's even an interview that Keanu Reeves cut a lot of the dialogue out of the script that was supposed to be in the movie. And he actually has, I think they said, he has 380 lines of dialogue in this film.
Yes. Yes.
And I gotta say, I love Keanu Reeves. I think he's great in these films. I will say a little bit of his acting in here it almost feels like he's doing an impression of John Wick in this one. I don't know if you kind of felt like that, but there were some lines in acting I was kind of like, come on. But I mean, I'm still in it for the ride. I love this dude. He's killing it, and I don't care because the action's great. And even if it was like Adam Driver playing John Wick, I wouldn't really buy into it. Keanu Reeves is John Wick. You can't take that away from him anymore at this point.
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of dialogue, Alex, let's get right into it, man. What were your favorite lines and quotes of this film?
So let's see. I'm getting to my notes real quick. I really love the homage to Dante's Inferno. I was a big fan of that book. I like that opening. I like the line with Winston to John saying, "You'll run out of bullets by the time another head shows up," alluding to the fact that John wants to kill the members of the High Table, because that's the goal of this movie. Is that his mission is that he wants to get out of this whole thing and eliminate the High Table in some regard. There was an interesting line that I really liked by the Harbinger. I forget when he said it. Who it's played by Clancy Brown. He says, "A man's ambition would never succeed his worth," which I thought was kind of interesting. And
when he's talking to Bill Skarsgård,
yeah, and also, I am Klaus.
I'm Klaus.
I am Klaus.
I am Klaus.
Yeah. What about you, man? There's a lot. There's a lot.
There's a lot. But I think the one I'm gonna pick one that really got me. He said this. It was by Hiroki Sanada, where his character Shimuzu says, "Friendship means little when it's convenient."
That's deep.
Yeah, he's really like, deep. Friendship means little when it's convenient. Like when it was convenient to me, be your friend, John. Yeah, we're friends, but now you've inconvenienced my life and you could have me killed. Guess what, John? You're still my friend and I'm going to help you.
For sure.
Basically just said, you know what, John? I will die next to you. I will die fighting with you. Because that's what this world is. This world, like most punishments in this world are death. It's either death or excommunicado, which is basically some type of death. You know what I mean? Like not actual death, but like kind of like
exile
type thing. Which kind
you go back to the I'm sorry, bringing up Dante's Inferno and getting a little book nerd, bookwormy, but like you think about books like Oedipus, where like he gets blinded and he's exiled out of his own city. I mean, so it kind of plays into that, someone being exiled, and that's what John is. And I think Chad Stahelski and the writers, they said in an interview, they were like, what if we try to make like a big fantasy kind of epic story in this assassin world that's grounded in reality in some way, and how would we pull it off? And in some capacity, I think they did it in that way.
Yeah, so that was my favorite line. He basically said, "I'm willing to die for you, my man. I'm willing to die for you." As well as towards the end, Lawrence Fishburne, he said, "A man has to look his best when it's time to get married." or Barry. That one got me as well. And then there's just a couple of lines that the Marquis de Gramont said that I'm like, hey, yo, man, this is a hard line, but I hate you. So you know what I mean? I don't like you, but this is a hard line. He said this, right? This sounds stupid, but it sounds hard as hell. He said, second chances are the refuge of men who fail. I'm like,
Remember that?
that was he said that before. I think he says that before he like kills Sharon, and he
Did
allows.
he say that? Did he say that right after? And he was like, Winston was like, "Why didn't you kill me?" And he says,
he said, I think the reason he didn't kill him was like he wanted people to think that he was either like a pariah or a snitch. So either or, no one's gonna help you, because no one's gonna get near you because no one wants to die near you, or no one's gonna get near you because they think you snitched out your homie.
Like Sharon snitched out Winston.
Yeah. Like he snitched out Sharon and he got Sharon killed. But even though that's a lie, that's the way the assassin world is gonna look at Winston, which is a lie, but it is what it is. Another one that he said that was kind of hard was, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I'm like,
there's
oh, that one was nice. That one was nice.
That one was good.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, with that line about with the Marquis telling that to Winston, it's like, well, even it's the blame for Winston, you know, it's still questionable how he got his building blown up. You know, did he do that himself? Stuff like that.
Well, that everyone knows that the Marquis de Gramont blew it up, but still, you know, he still wants to put Winston, in this light of kind of like not exile, but like semi-exile. Like no one wants to get near you, even though you're not excommunicado. Still, nobody wants to get near you because they're like, people die when they're near you. So
it's kind of like shaming or
yeah. I also think it's because of Bill Skarsgård's accent he used in this movie that made everything just sound like villainous. Like everything, he could have been like, "I want my great poupon," but if he said it like the way he did it, it'd probably be like, "Yo, man, that's the evil great poupon." You know what I mean? Because there's one more where he says there are 3 types of men in this world: those who have something to live for, those who have something to die for, and those who have something to kill for. And I'm like, snap,
that was great. That was one of my favorite lines too.
That one was amazing. So that one
there's another line too that we're gonna get in this character in a little bit, but Donnie Yen, who plays Kane, this blind assassin, you know, a blind assassin, or a blind character that, you know, he also played was in Star Wars Rogue One. It's funny enough, but he tells this to John. I forget where it was. I think it was either up on the church or either in the leading up to the stairway towards the end. But he says something like along the lines of like, men that know that they have to fight are willing to die for it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that line?
Think so. I don't know. Though the one line I loved about him is when the Marquis de Gramont's main henchman's like, "You can't kill me, but I can hit you, mother." And he punches him right in the face. And I'm like, my entire audience, my entire theater laughed. We all laughed at it, dude. Okay, so Alex, here's the thing, Alex. I watched this movie at like 3:00 in the afternoon, and I watched it with a bunch of like elderly people. Like I walk in, and it's like grandpas and grandmas with me, and I'm like, "Y'all watching John Wick?"
Yeah.
What? And they loved it, bro. They loved it, bro, and it was crazy. It was crazy.
That's wild. I mean, yeah, I've seen kids parents trying to bring kids to see Deadpool, and I'm just like, why are you doing this? This is terrible.
They're old enough.
No. But that's a different situation. But this one,
this
right here,
hilarious.
it's surprising.
This is funny as hell.
I heard my grandma saying,
funny.
"Yeah, John Wick. Yeah, he just kills so many people." And I remember me.
I had this one old lady cheer. She was like, "Yeah, he shoot him in the face," and I'm like, "What is going on?" That's crazy. Alex, we've talked about favorite lines and favorite quotes. Now let's move on to the meat and potatoes of these movies.
Wait. We gotta add. No, we gotta say, is this movie quotable?
Oh, is this movie? It's more quotable. I think it's more quotable than the other ones.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. So Keanu Reeves, when you think of Keanu Reeves, you think of The Matrix, you think of Speed, and now you think of John Wick. What is the one quote before these movies came around that was branded with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
No.
Whoa.
Yes. What's the quote now?
Yeah.
That's what I think this movie really pushed for. He says yeah so many times. He almost says it enough to the point where, like, damn, I was supposed to be counting how many bodies he's killing, but he's saying it too much to where I'm getting lost. You know, like I kind of felt like that. But I loved it when he was saying yeah. Like it
Well,
was
yeah. Well, the scene, literally the opening scene with the elder, he said, "The only freedom John Wick will have is in death." Then he says, "Yeah,
not really.
not really."
Yeah.
And he shoots him right in the head.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And by the way,
Yeah.
no opening credits in this film.
Cold open, straight up.
No
Cold open
no
as
title,
hell.
no title card or anything, which is
Yeah.
very interesting
Yeah,
in
dude.
my opinion.
Dude, it didn't wait. It
No.
didn't wait. It went.
Mm.
It jumped right in. You know, like they own horses in a desert, and he's shooting people like there was no time to breathe.
No,
No,
it jumps right in.
jumped
But
right into it. Man.
now you want to talk about favorite scenes and favorite action scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to do it because that's the meat and potatoes of this movie. These movies,
Absolutely.
Alex, the action pieces, the action scenes. Well, now we have two. So let's like I always said, Alex, let's separate them. Right? What's your
Sure.
favorite non-action scene? And then we transition to your favorite action set piece scene. What do you think?
Okay, so I think there's some really just intense scenes. I mean, the job of like an action film or an action thriller is to make you feel, give you some anxiety, make you feel tense, because the thrills, the chills, the spinal tingling. I digress. The scene with John, Mr. Nobody, also another cast member in this movie, Shamir Anderson, who plays Mr. Nobody, aka the Tracker. Scott Adkins' character, Killa, and Kane, played by Donnie Yen, and they're all sitting at that gambling table. That was one of my favorite scenes. And along with the scene with Kane and John at the church, right before everything's about to go crazy.
Yep. And he
What
says
about
that
you?
line. You think your wife can hear you? No. Then why bother? Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah,
was nice.
I like that. I like that. And then
That was
Miss
nice.
Killa's like, you want to kill him? I know you want to kill him. And you want to kill him. What do you want to do, John? And
I want
John's
to kill
like,
you.
I'm going to kill you. He's like,
You want to talk about you know how impressive Scott Adkins is fighting in a fat suit? That man is
dude,
tremendous.
I feel bad for just giving it away because you just got to see it to believe it, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
mean, and I've never seen any Scott Adkins action films that he's done, but I know like he's very notorious for being such a great mixed martial artist, such actor in a lot of these, like, is it UFC undisputed films? I think you're familiar with a lot of these, right?
Oh yeah, I know a lot of Scott Adkins. He's also in that movie. You know that movie? That movie with Michael Jai White and Tony Jaa, where like they're military men. Obviously, he's
not
actually
Ip Man. It's not Ip
no,
Man.
he's actually in Ip Man 4.
In Ip Man 4.
He's in Ip Man 4, but there's another movie with Michael Jai White where they're in Indonesia, and he's actually a prisoner. So they have to like go find him. Scott Adkins is the prisoner. Triple threat. Triple threat. Him, Michael Bisping, Michael Jai White, Tony Jaa's in it. So like, yeah, I think it's Tony Jaa.
Tony Jaa.
I don't know.
That's and Tony Jaa played Unk Bak.
Oh yeah, he played Unk Bak.
I need to watch those movies. I've never seen them. Yeah, he's in Monster Hunter and
Yeah.
Triple Threat and all stuff.
No, I didn't.
But
Yeah, it's Tony Jaa and Iko US who played
in the raid,
Jaka. Yeah, from the raid. So
yeah,
him, Tony Jaa and him with Scott Adkins. Yeah, like I remember that film. I remember that film like it was yesterday. It was a good film. I actually quite enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I quite enjoyed
yeah.
that action film.
But by the way, just how great was it to have, I think for this installment of the John Wick franchise, whether it's going to be the last one or not, we can get into that a little bit later, but it's just great to see these mixed
Question
martial
from
artist
Ryan
actors.
Christensen.
Oh,
Don't know the ending of this film, but in your guys' opinion, what's the end game for John Wick?
I think we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that, Ryan.
But how great is it, Ferris, that like, they did a really good job at like bringing these mixed martial artist actors to prominence with this film. And I think Scott Adkins, I mean, I've never really seen him, rarely even seen him before, but I thought he had a really good performance, not only fighting wise, but acting wise as well. Like being this little slimy, big gambling dude in the underworld, And again, it's good Donnie Yen playing another blind character, but still, you fell for him, man. And so I just thought that was just really nice, really cool that they did all that. But what were some of your favorite scenes? Not action wise.
Oh, not action wise.
Yeah,
Any scene with Bill
that.
Skarsgård.
Really?
That man was cooking. The Marquis de Gramont, that man was cooking. Yo, every time he was in a scene, it was so beautiful. Like the scene was beautiful. The scene in the stables with Mr. Nobody where he stabs him.
He opens up
stabs him.
his
Yeah, he stabs him. He said, I'm about to find out what man you really are. If you pull it out, I know you're a cheat. But if you pull your hand out, I know you mean business.
That's
And
a good quote too. That's a really good quote as well.
He like rips his hand out. You want to know what other quote that I love? That's so John is meeting up with the Bowery King and Ian in like some subway, and Bowery King's like the 9mm Pit Viper, and John was like, "How did you get this?" And then the Bowery King's like, "I know a guy who knows a guy who shot a guy." I'm like,
and I think there's a flaw with in the rest of the later in the film when he starts using that pistol. It seems like he doesn't reload as much, or it seems like he has a lot more bullets in the chamber. If you actually watch it, he has 2 clips in the gun. There's 2 clips that are loaded into the gun.
Yeah,
he pulls out, which I've never seen that kind of.
Yeah, it's a modification nowadays that you can have. It's really expensive actually. You can kind of like it's kind of like a backup clip. It's your main clip. Then when your main clip's out, you go to the backup clip, and it takes it from that. And then when both of those clips are out, you're out. Then you got
instead of a fast mag where you like have to you ever play Call of Duty or something like that.
Yeah. So you gotta unclip both of them. Then you gotta put you can I think you can put 2 or put 1, but people
he put 2. He had 2
put 2 back in. Then you put 2 back in and kind of like 2 mags at once.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have 2 mags of 7, so you have 14, or 2 mags of 8 or 10 or something. It depends on how much the mag capacity is. If it's an extended clip or not, you know what I mean? All that jazz, and stuff like that.
At least he didn't just give him like 7 bullets.
Yeah,
recalling from the second film,
that was a bad decision.
Yeah, that was
7 million, 7 bullets, $1 million a bullet. Man, I ran out of that real quick. I shot 4 bodyguards.
It's like, well, I'm gonna get another. I'm gonna pick up another gun regardless. I mean, this is my head start, so we'll see what I can.
Yeah, man. So like anything with the dude, Bill Skarsgård, man, that man was cooking, bro. Like he's talking to Mr. Nobody, and he says, "Coyness is a pathetic trade, a miscalculation in which by trying to hide our ego, we let it appear stark naked." And he's telling it to Mr. Nobody. Damn. And I'm like, yo, man, this dude means business. In all his suits, whoever did the suits, man.
Yeah,
shout out to them. But yeah,
just for all these movies, dude. All these movies are amazing.
So yeah, any scene with the Marquis de Gramont, any scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about your favorite action set piece?
Alex, so
your observation.
Favorite action set piece. I also just, I mean, so I can list all the action scenes right here and say for one that all of them I enjoyed. And I think for every John Wick film, they just do an incredible and impressive job, every single one. Um, again, I'm a big sucker with what they do with the fight scenes in the club, in the clubs and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed the fight with Killa with Scott Adkins, even though I had a big problem with like how people just didn't care that there were axes being flown and people shooting other people and there was nothing going on. But I digress. That um, but also I gotta give just the hugest props to Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen, in my opinion, steals this movie. And we can talk about, you know, best characters and stuff like that, but I'm gonna just say it right now. For me, Donnie Yen is the best character in this
I love
movie.
that scene where he's eating noodles in the kitchen.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, hey, what are you doing? You're supposed to help. And he's like, let me finish.
Let me finish.
and then
That was nice.
you have no idea, like when movies or shows or something start out very slow and they're action oriented or something like that, that means they're taking its time and eventually it's going to blow up.
Yeah.
And that's what they did here super well. And the whole scene in the kitchen when he's putting motion sensors on the wall, I was like, what is that? What was? And then it's beep, 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 beep. And then he could. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome. What about you, man?
I actually want to talk about Donnie Yen real quick. I like how he, like, when he's playing a blind man, he's a blind man. He's like walking around like he's a blind man. He's not a dude. No, I'm blind, but I can actually see everything. You know, like not like Daredevil. You know what I mean? Like Donnie Yen's still a blind dude. He's like still like, you know, moving around, like trying to grab stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like he's like that. I love that he added that layer, because, you know, like, you know, in Daredevil, you know, Matt Murdock
He's
is
a mutant.
blind.
He's a
He's
mutant.
blind, but he's not blind because he has sonar. You know what I mean?
He has great echolocation skills.
Exactly.
And that makes him a mutant because of the toxic waste and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you this right now. This dude, if you put Daredevil and Kane in a room, I got money on Kane, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, Matt Murdock. I love you.
Yeah. Because I loved how he added that. But my favorite action set piece was the complete chaos at the Art de Triomphe. The Art de Triomphe.
Octave Triumph.
Where they're just driving around, hitting each other with cars, just flying cars at each other. John Wick got hit by a car like 4 times. It's like pop, 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 pop. And he had to like survive 4 John Wick hits.
Yeah, it's a big,
you know what I mean?
It's a big gripe I have a little bit, you know, but it's you just got to let it go, man. I mean, and someone in the chat, Justin, he said, "Oh, are we talking about the Jesus movie?" I know he ranted about the movie, how there's a lot of inconveniences where he's just falls off his shit and he keeps getting back up. And I get it.
Justin's an idiot. All right, he talked about
Hey,
inconveniences.
come on.
It's
we all have problems with films.
No,
I mean,
no, man. But Justin's problems be sounding dumb. It's never like inconvenience. Oh, a machete just happened to be there. Yeah, because they're fighting with machetes. Of course, there's a machete laying around, you dummy. Like, you know what, man? Because like he once said, oh, this episode of The Mandalorian made The Mandalorian look weak, but this week's episode of The Mandalorian made them look well. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Hey, but you know, it's all good, dude. Like,
I don't agree. But here's the thing: me and Justin disagree on film. That's fine. You can disagree on film. It's not like me and Justin disagree on more, you know,
important issues.
stuff.
Like yeah. I mean, hell, I mean, I would have to say too, just, you know, we'll talk about flaws a little bit later, but you know, I think it's just really cool, but at the same time, I know it's not. I mean, they have these actually designed to work, but those Kevlar suits, when they have to go like this, trying to block the bullets and all this stuff,
so they don't get shot in the head.
The thing is, it would penetrate through, I think, but the thing is with those suits, because I think they're Kevlar and they're ceramic. They would stop the bullet, but they would still bruise you. It's like airsoft, you know. It's like it doesn't completely puncture you, but you know, I mean, it is what it is. They've already set this up that it's a weird world. Like, there's no cops. Where are the cops? No cops. Okay, well, let's.
Well, the cops know. The cops. They've
We
already
saw the
said.
cops. We saw the cops.
But here's the thing. They've already said. They've already said it. The cops don't deal in assassin business. They only deal if the assassins enter the civilian world. But if the assassins kill each other, the cops like, do your thing. Keep your business out of the real world's business. Because the cops know. They tell us all with Jimmy. Jimmy tells us.
Yeah.
Jimmy's like, oh, okay. Like this is
No,
all
I think
explained.
it reinforced the idea of how this world works, but I think to a fault, because it only explained what happens in America, but doesn't completely explain what happens overseas.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just, I mean, for me.
But I think it's the same because there's more than one continental. There's one in Japan.
No, yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
And rules are different in different countries, of course. So there is that as well. You know, and also the rules about granting amnesty and all this kind of stuff. But again, that's all like inside the continental. I mean, and Justin,
he was hit by a car like 3 times, Justin. But here's the thing too: you can survive getting hit by a car. You know how you survive, Alex? It's actually pretty easy. When the car's coming to you, you jump onto the car, so you don't allow the car to hit you. Because if you allow the car to hit you, it can kill you. But if the car's coming at you and you jump onto the hood,
but yeah, rolling over.
Exactly. So what does John Wick do when he's being hit by the car? The car hits him, but he's jumping on the car, surviving, and he keeps doing it to survive. It's actually scientifically proven.
I mean, I would also say, I'm gonna say this right now too. This was a big flaw.
Justin
and
just
I
wants to
mentioned
hate
this
on stuff.
Well, I'm gonna say this, like the third film. I mean, I did have problems with a little bit of the how it was just mainly action and the world building and stuff, and didn't really rely too much on John. But what I'll say about this,
how are you,
is that end of that movie, he falls off like a 10-story building, and I'm still gonna believe that he's alive still. If I was just someone else that didn't really have much attachment to this world, I'd be
talking
like,
about the one where they go
when Winston shoots him off the building and he falls over.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that one I can't
he'd be
defend.
dead.
Yeah, that one I can't defend.
He's dead.
Yeah.
And now you have to go into this with a high sense of disbelief. Not just him, not just John himself, but the cops. Sometimes the physics is like, I'm out this bitch. So it works like that. But anyways, we'll talk about flaws later. We hinted on it heavily, but maybe we'll talk about a little bit more. But action scene wise, this movie goes out on all the cylinders.
Balls to the wall, man. Balls to
the wall.
But
we didn't talk about this one, the dragon breath scene, the overhead shot.
Oh, in the hotel room, right?
In the vacant.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
The Hotline Miami scene.
That was amazing.
That was
beautiful.
Really. Ferris, tell me what you thought. Tell me what you thought about that.
Oh my God, bro. That was a great decision. Bro. Because here's the thing, man. You know, you want to switch it up on these action scenes, right? You don't want to keep just a horizontal view, right? So they went overhead, bro, in that scene, and it felt like you were in a video game where like you have to like navigate the corners and you have people around the corner, and it was pretty dope.
I kind of wanted, I kind of wanted him to do like the normal kind of shootout thing, but it kind of would be a little, I don't know. It kind of would seem like it would be a little bit, you know, the same old. But I did hear like in interviews that whenever they did do the overhead shot and John was shooting, that fire was completely CGI. So it wasn't actually real. But I do know that like whenever he lit people on fire, I guess that was also CGI maybe.
Because they don't want to actually set people on fire, so that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But that scene was great. There's a great story beat in that scene that I love personally. I love, and we hinted on it too. The Osaka scene is great. And there's also a scene I just remembered too. That's not an action scene. It's a plain scene. When John arrives to Osaka and he's just standing there, and there's that shot of like the building behind him.
Man, shut up, Justin. Shut up.
It's all right.
Talking to me like, man, I know movies. Who are you? You're a fan. I'm a fan. We know nothing about movies. Stop talking like you a critic. Get out of here.
But
God, he's gotten his head too big.
it's
Get out of
okay.
here.
It's okay, Ferris. But
I'm not
that
saying the movie. I'm not saying everything in this movie is fine. I'm just saying I love the movie. I'm
this
a fan
movie
of
is
this movie.
not. I'm gonna tell you this right now. This movie is far from
It's
being
good.
anywhere near perfect.
It's a great action film, and it's a good movie.
Great, and I said this beginning of the review. I said emphasize on action.
It's a great action film, a good movie. Good movies have certain mess ups with it, but it's a great action film. You know?
What's the point? What's the point of a movie?
Yeah. Spoken from the man who loves
Ferris,
man who
what's
loves
the point?
Ballad of Ricky O. Get out of here.
I mean, that movie might be fine to watch.
I don't
But
know. I think that movie
what is the
stunk.
point? What's the point of entertainment? I'm sorry. Fuck.
No, what's the point of entertainment? You're right. That's what point of a movie.
No, what's
if
the
it's
point
not
of
entertaining?
what's the point of having of this movie? It's to have fun. It's to have entertainment. You know, what is it? What is the action film? Action film's supposed to be fun. You know what I mean? But you get a lot more with this, with the world building and all this kind of stuff, and it might seem crazy. The raid is insane too.
The raid is wild.
There's times where like people like in this movie this happens too. Donnie Yen punches a dude like fucking 7 times and like so fast, and you're like, how is he able to do this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you probably, the cinematographer is gonna be like, hey, slow down real quick. Let me, or the editor's like, I can't do this. I can't. But no, like, speaking of flaw, I mean, regardless of flaws, technically this movie is so beautiful. Shot wise,
it's so beautiful to look at.
The framing.
Oh my God.
I also, that Osaka scene, you can tell this dude wants to do Ghost of Tsushima as a movie.
Yeah.
You can tell. The rose petals, Ferris.
Oh yeah.
The rose petals.
Yes.
I mean, and also here's a cool observation too. When the guys, the high table guys infiltrate the Osaka Continental,
Mm-hmm.
and it's completely red, and like they're having that standoff. Hiroyuki and the main henchman of the high table, they're all talking stuff.
Uh-huh.
The lights are red. It's dark, it's dim, and everything like that. When the arrows come out, lights go green, meaning let's go. I love that little detail. But
man, the archery guys, they're pretty dope. That was a pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's a lot of long action sequences. Like it's a lot of long action, like a lot of long takes, or like a lot of long ones. You know what I mean? And I quite enjoy it because
it goes from one set piece to the other.
Yeah.
It's all in one. But it's all in one scene.
Yeah.
And it's like Akira was awesome too.
Oh yeah.
She kicked ass as well.
Oh, that scene where Daniel had to kill Hiroki Sanada. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's hard. And it
quick stabs him, and you're like, oh, it's crazy.
But yeah, so I think we hinted and talked a lot about sorry. No. Got one more.
One more.
We gotta talk about it. Stairway scene. Man,
that was amazing.
Okay, Justin, I get it. I mean, dude, this dude, Ferris, can you give me a rundown of how your theater reacted? Was there a big reaction when it
there
came
was
to
a
this
big
scene?
Oh what? That was yeah.
Bruh, this dude went full Buster Keaton on us, I swear. It was like Rocky. It was like watching a boxing match.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm rooting for this dude to do it.
He was almost there, man. He was almost there.
And he went all the way
there.
down.
Then he gets kicked by that big old dude. Chitty.
Yeah.
I think his name was Chitty. Apparently I found out his name was Chitty. While we were doing this review. His name is Chitty.
Like Chitty Bang Bang.
Chidi. Chitty. Shout out to you, Chitty. He was actually a shout out to him. He was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. I think he was a whole stunt dude as well.
Yeah.
But no, man, that scene, I mean, just wild, dude. And I'm surprised, like, I didn't get bored of it. I don't know. I would know some people that would be like, all right, come on, cut the bullshit. Let's go. But no, they did it. And I don't know how, Ferris, you could probably tell me, where did that pencil come from?
Yeah, where did that pencil? No. Where did that pencil come from?
The trash can? Was it on the bench?
Was it from a previous scene?
I don't remember.
Did
don't think
Donnie Yen take it from somewhere?
I don't
Like
think anyone was signing any contracts or anything like that.
I don't know, man. But he stabbed that man right in the hand. Stabbed
Yeah.
him right in the hand. Like yeah.
Yeah. Also the build up with the DJ, and they played "Nowhere to Run." That was
yeah.
awesome. Nowhere to run to, babe. And then
And
they're all
then no, and
assembling
then they
guns,
played the instrumental to Paint It Black.
like Rolling Stones.
Yeah, but they
French.
said let's paint him red, like kill him. So, but
Yeah,
they played the Paint It Black song. That was a good choice. That was a very good choice.
that was dope,
Yeah.
dude. That was
Yeah.
dope. Was there any other scenes or action scenes that kind of stand out to you?
I think the DJ scene was an homage to another movie.
The Warriors.
The Warriors?
I think it was.
Was it?
Yeah, because there's
I don't think so. I think it was another film.
Well, I know heavily the John Wick films were inspired by the Warriors and something else. But I know that scene particularly, that was heavily inspired by the Warriors. I haven't seen the Warriors, but I know there's a infamous scene kind of like that. Are you looking it up right now?
Oh no, you're right. It was Shout Out to the Warriors. Yeah.
I also want to mention. I also want to mention
Warriors.
this too, real quick. Just like some also basic info. You know, this film was done on a $90 million budget. Compared to the other films, the first one was like 20 to 30. Second one I think was 50.
Yes.
Third one was
75.
75, and this one was 90.
Well, which makes sense, more successful film, more budget. But it was 90,
sure.
but it was still only 90 million. Nowadays, most films are 100, 150.
But you
We're
look
still
at
under the $100 million mark.
You look at these big tentpole films like of course Marvel and DC, they almost go over budget with 200 or sometimes 180. Dungeons and Dragons, which just came out, that I really enjoyed, and I hope you see it too, Ferris. That movie I think came in, it's like 150 million. So I mean, it's not terrible. But no, you don't need too much effects and all this kind of stuff when it comes to these John Wick films, other than flashbangs or muzzle flashes and whatnot. But the production design, the technical stuff, it goes out in droves. I mean, because that's what really works. And this film, we didn't get to talk about box office though, but it did make an $8 million opening Thursday night, and then it opened.
No, it didn't.
$8 million opening.
Oh wait, yeah, probably.
Thursday
it came out on March 24th, right?
Yes.
So domestically, daily, it made $30 million.
And
$29,426,384.
And worldwide, it made 100 on the first weekend. It made $137.5 million.
I'm on Box Office Mojo, unless I'm reading this wrong. Oh, that's daily. So the weekend made So are we doing weekly or daily? So daily, domestic daily, Alex, domestic daily. It made almost $30 million on Friday.
Damn.
It almost made $30 million. Right now, currently, worldwide, it's at $244,878,306. It made its budget twice.
Yeah, man.
It made its budget, then some.
Yeah, so you can tell there's people that are fans of this. And also
domestically, $122 million and $878,306.
Okay.
And then internationally, $122 million.
Wait, 122
internationally.
Internationally?
$122 million internationally. $122,878,306 domestic.
Damn.
Yeah. It's opening. It's opening.
That's Box Office Mojo, right?
That's Box Office Mojo. It's opening. It made basically $74 million. Basically. Yeah.
That's just wild, man. I mean, it's also a rated R film too. So you can tell this franchise.
And I think it was only released in 3,855 theaters.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's also we'll talk too about later movies and sequels and stuff, but that Continental series we talked about, you'll probably be a big fan to hear about.
It's on too. Peacock. It's going to be on Peacock now.
Not just that. So it's 3. So to correct myself, it's not 2 episodes. It's 3 episodes. 2 episodes are going to be directed by Albert Hughes. I found it.
Yeah, baby, Dead
I know
Presidents.
that's your homie.
Dead Presidents, you know what it
Yeah,
is.
Dead Presidents and
It's
Boys
a
to Men,
prequel.
or Boys
I
to
find out
Menace to Society. Yeah,
it's
not
a
Boys to Men.
prequel. The Continental.
Yeah,
It's
takes place
about
in the
young
70s.
Winston and young Sharon,
Yeah,
and how Winston became Winston. So there's
instead of
that.
Ferris, instead of Menace to Society, it said Boys to Men.
You
That's
said
how
Boys
white I
to
am.
Men. What the hell is wrong with you? You know,
Sorry.
you said it. You said it, not me, brother.
I know. I'm
You
sorry.
said it, not me.
My bad.
I was gonna call you Whitey, but you know, you said
Yeah.
it.
Well, I did it. Yeah, I called
Yeah.
myself Elias last episode.
Yeah.
But no. So that's happening. Ballerina. So that's the spinoff. That's going to take place before Chapter 3 and Chapter 4, and that's supposed to come out spring and summer of 2024 next year.
Yeah.
So
With
that's
Ana
just
de
what
Armas.
yeah. So we'll get
She needs to get her mojo back. She's kind of missed a couple of films.
yeah. I mean, she's in another movie with Chris Evans on Apple called Ghosted.
Oh.
So that
Hey, man,
looks kind of
speaking
cool.
of Apple, I watched another film on Apple TV Plus, but I don't want to talk about it because it's not
Relevant.
yeah, it's not relevant.
Tetris.
Yeah, it was Tetris.
Tetris is great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. But so those are the projects that they have lined up for, and they also announced another spin-off film in the universe. A producer, Erica, what's her name? I don't want to just say her first name because that just sounds weird. Yeah, Erica said it. Who's Erica? I don't know. Erica Lee. Yeah, on Collider, she announced that there is going to be another John Wick universe spin-offs. We have no idea what it's about, but
a lot of rumors and report. Look, just rumors, not even reports, is about Akira.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of Akira.
I'd love to see one of maybe Kane, Mr. Nobody. I mean, we even mentioned before, like in the last episode, like Sophia. Like that'd just be cool.
I mean, I want to see the rise of the Marquis de Gramont.
Oh man, like it's maybe an 8-episode HBO miniseries or something. Like that'd be kind of sweet. I could see that.
Hey man, right? See, it's funny, as Ferris alluded earlier, there was 3 older women in wheelchairs that went to see John Wick on Friday. Watching the scripts. See, I told you, man. Old ladies love John Wick. Old ladies love themselves some John Wick. Pop, pop, pop. You know what it is.
Hey, hey, get on them. Like, you know, they saw The Matrix. They saw Speed. They saw, you know.
Good for them. Good for them.
Absolutely. So also I wanted to mention too, because so we've talked about the action scenes, but we're talking about like basic info and observations, references, and Easter eggs. So also, like, I got a lot of vibes. Have you ever seen the movie Good, Bad, and the Ugly?
I've seen scenes, but I haven't never seen the movie.
Well, there's a scene where, like, you know, the table scene with Nobody, Kane, and John kind of reminded me of that, where it kind of felt like these 3 guys are all after one thing, which is trying to kill John. So I kind of feel like there's a little bit of reference to that. You definitely, and like I mentioned earlier, you definitely can see Chad wanting to do Ghost of Tsushima movie, which I'm really curious about. I don't know if you've ever played that game.
No, I've heard it's a great game, but I've never played it.
It's a good game. I really like it. Also, another fun fact: the initial runtime of this film was going to be 3 hours and 45 minutes, which I'd be down for. I'm curious if they do a director's cut, but that probably would require an intermission. Shit, I've heard the new Mission Impossible movie is almost that runtime, and they still want to stick by it. There's also some things too. So I mentioned there's no title card. This film takes place 6 months after the third one.
Well, you know, runtime is pretty simple, Alex. It's like, you know, no bad movie is too short, but no good movie is too long.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
You gotta cut it.
It's about pacing, man. It's about pacing, really.
About pacing. And it's also about putting people in the theater and getting enough people to go see these films so they can the film can make a profit.
Yeah.
I also wanted to show this too. I had this I got this at the theater. This is John Wick bowl. I picked this up recently.
What?
And
I didn't get. Oh, I couldn't eat no snacks. That's right.
But they also gave me this. They gave me this thing where it shows the coins.
What?
And this is the high table coin. I think let's see, what is it?
That is a random John Wick coin.
Yeah, and this is the random John Wick coin. And then the contract, I think kind of get a read on that. I'll probably make a picture of this, but I
Yeah.
wanted to point something out. It was really cool. So this is the high table logo, and so I translated this, and I'll hold this up while I read it out. So it says Unitas Dominito Firmitas Servitum, which means unit dominance firmness service, which I don't really understand what that necessarily means. But the caption here and here it
We
says
seek the truth and we endure the consequences.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. So repeat the Latin again, Alex.
Latin again. Maybe you can help me on that one. But I translated with Google Translate,
Yeah.
Latin. It's Unitas Dominatio Firmitas Servitium. And
It
what it
translates to what?
unit dominance firmness service.
We dominate as a unit with a firm hand, and we seek service. That's probably what they want, because every time the high table calls somebody to work, Alex, what do they always say? What do they always say?
Reservation.
No. What? No.
Dinner
What?
reservation.
No. No.
Sorry. No, I was just playing.
It's I have served and I shall be of service.
For sure.
Service. United. The high table is united. It's 12 heads together. Domination. We dominate the assassin world because we dictate terms. Firm. We have a firm hand. And with firm hands, what happens, Alex? Swift punishments. Boom. That's a great, yeah.
And it's
That's
a
what it
sword
probably
with a
means.
crown and two saint logos that
Exactly.
are kind of dominoed.
Yeah.
So that I thought that was a really cool observation about that.
Because they have firm hand, they have rules of punishment, and they go by those rules of punishment. They have rules, and they're firm with them, and they always do them. Like the Marquis de Gramont's duel, when John Wick challenged him to the duel, John Wick went about it the right way, and they gave him his duel. They followed their rules. They never break their rules ever.
Yeah, and
They
you
have
can't
rules and they
name
stick
you
by
can't
them.
name this you can't name this company the High Table of Assassins. You can't do
Yeah.
that. You got to have it. You got to have some code. That, and
Yeah.
that's what a lot of this film is about.
Yeah.
I forget what
Someone earlier in the chat was talking about believability in other movies and this movie. Bro, it's a secret world of assassins and a high table. Calm down with your believability. Get out of here.
And the coin, this coin right here, if you can see it, let's see. You can pull it up.
Yes.
It says, can you read that, or is the lighting too bad?
No, I can't read that.
Okay, so it says C verse Asium Parabellum. So if you want peace, you want, prepare for
You must
war.
go through. Yes.
So that's, I guess, what the I don't know if that's the contract token, or if that's it's probably the token.
Yeah.
So there was that. So I thought that was cool.
Mhm.
Another observation that I made, this was just a little quick one, and I kind of answered my question, but the elder, I thought was recast, but actually he says
They
line.
said he died.
He said, the ring has been passed on, or is gone, just like the elder before me.
So yeah, so he's dead.
So he's dead. So that was just a little thing I noticed.
Mhm.
If you've seen Matrix Revolutions, there's a scene where John is on this train in the train station, and I kind of got a little bit of I felt like they were kind of paying homage to that movie with him being in the train station underground with the Bowery King and Winston. That was just a little minor observation. So the duel that we find later in the film that takes place in the Sacred Heart of Paris, the Basilica of the Sacred Heart of Paris. It's the Roman Catholic Church dedicated to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which there is a lot of Jesus and biblical references in this film. We know we also mentioned in prior episodes, or talking about these movies, we talked about this theory that you mentioned.
It's the 5 stages of grief.
5 stages of grief. And so I'll mention some other references in just a little bit, but I want to get to that because, the 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Yeah.
So the first film, we dealt with denial that John has to accept his life after the passing of his wife, and
Mm-hmm.
then later, the last gift that his wife gave him before her passing, he's in kind of a denial and just like shaking that she's gone and everything,
And
and
denying who he is
denying
because,
who he is, denying that he'll eventually come back to being an assassin
yeah.
after what happened after
Yes.
the Russians killed his dog, and
Yes.
also there's denial about how Vigo was thinking about his son, being like, man, he's not going to get out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anger. Also, there's a little thing we mentioned. I forgot to mention with it came to the second movie. Do you remember that scene when John is preparing to go overseas and he's getting his suits and stuff? No, it's
Yeah.
right before he gets his suits, but he screams and yells on the ground. He's like, "Arr!" Do you remember that?
Think so.
It's a very quick scene. It's very quick.
Yeah.
I felt like that kind of summed up how he was thinking about all of this. It was right
Uh-huh.
after he talked to the Santino.
Gotcha.
So when it comes to this movie, we align the stages of grief. We have to talk about depression, right? So there's some depression about, and this is what I took away. And by the way, did you have any thoughts on the idea of depression when it came to this film regarding the 5 stages of grief?
I think we get a little bit, but not a lot. I think this movie was more about acceptance. I think he's accepting it more, where right away he's accepted that where homie was like the elder scene right away where he's like, the only freedom you'll have, John, is in death. And John says, no. Yeah, not really. And he shoots him. He's accepted that my life is gonna be crazy. Yeah.
I think, and also I would even argue that I think the 5 stages of grief are coincided with every single one of these films, because that moment you mentioned, there's a couple moments. One, yeah, John was like, it's like, well, the elder was like, hey, John, you kill me, there's nothing else that's going to change. There's nothing that's going to change anything about it. And he's like, yeah, not really. So he kills him, and then he kills, spoiler alert, later in the movie, he kills the Marquis de Gramont. So we don't know if that's really going to change anything. But what I thought about it, when it came to depression, was that, depression of Akira losing her father, depression of Kane not being able to see his daughter, Winston's depression over losing Sharon, Katia, who's the girl that he has to find to bind the crime family again. She has depression of losing her dad. And then there's that whole scene with Mr. Nobody when the Russian dude's about to shoot Mr. Nobody's dog and John saves him. So I think there's a little bit of that. And you hinted on it just a little bit, thinking about acceptance, and we'll get a little bit into the legacy or what's going to happen later on with these films. But do you think also acceptance was also in this film too, like the last 2 stages?
Yeah, he did towards the end where he's like, take me home.
Yeah, I do think they could make room for another film, and they could have acceptance in it. I think that would actually work because it kind of seems like it makes sense. But yeah, I also just wanted to lightly mention, I watched this video by Screen Crush where they kind of analyzed the ending of the film, talking about how the 4 films are kind of referencing the story beats of the Bible, talking about creation, fall, redemption, and restoration.
Yeah.
Creation, first one, John is reborn into High Table as an assassin. Fall, John falls as the man, the fall instructions at the High Table. Redemption, John's trying to redeem himself from the stuff that he's gone through with failing the High Table. And then restoration, John was trying to restore his life, going back and trying to figure out how he wants to come back into, let's get out of this High Table life.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was just kind of cool. And, the elder even tells him, John, the only way you'll seek peace is death, which he rejects. And then even Zero in the third one, he's like, are you going to be, we're both an agent of death. So there's all these allusions to how John is, being questioned about
what he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now let's get, like, I think we've wrapped up this little part. Let's get down to our rankings. All right. So right now we're gonna do our rankings, then we're gonna clip them out and have it a separate video. But let's get back and forth. Right, we're gonna go back and forth. Do you have your rankings, Alex?
Yes, I do.
All right. So your number 4.
Actually, how about you? I want to hear what your number 4 is.
My number 4.
Yes.
My number 4 is John Wick 2.
Okay.
John Wick 2 is my number 4.
Why is it your number 4?
Full disclosure, I love all these films. I love number 2, 3, 4 all the same. I love number 1 a little bit more because it's the first one, and you'll find out where it places real quick. But number 2, I loved it. It started the you know what? Scratch that. Number 3 is my number 4.
Okay.
Number 3 is my number 4 because it's the great opening scene, the great scene. I loved it. Then he's just kind of like mowing around and then he has to go to Morocco. That great scene with Halle Berry. But I like number 2 just a little bit better because I like the villain more in number 2, Santino. You know, like no offense to the adjudicator, I like the adjudicator. She's a good villain, but you know, and then there's it was a lot of great action, right? But you know, I love a great action piece, but it didn't feel it didn't something just didn't. I just like it the 4th best. I don't know why.
So
I
you
like
said the third one is your
number 3 is number 4. Yes, John Wick 3 Parabellum is number 4.
I'm well. Also, on top of that, I will also agree that my number 4 is also the third John Wick.
Yes.
So, and yeah, also full disclosure too for myself, I enjoy all these films. I think they're a lot of fun. Some of the best action movies that we've seen in a very long time. I think the first 20 minutes of this film is incredible. The third one specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not slow down and has a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, and the first time I saw it, I didn't really enjoy it as much, and I just didn't really know why. I guess I thought it was a little bloated with the action, but I think I kind of realized is that it doesn't slow down with trying to open the world, and it opens the world pretty well, but it kind of focuses on a lot more stuff rather than John.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense because it seems like there's a lot. I don't know. There's a lot more interesting stuff going on other than just John too.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit that for the rest of these films as well. But there was something that it just felt like that was missing with this third one. You know, I love the bank scene, the Continental. I love them holding it down, the horse stuff, stuff in Morocco. That was awesome. And again, I think all these films are above average, and that's not my final rating, but they're good to great films. In my opinion, the flaws aside.
Yep.
So, with that said, what is your number 3?
My number 3, John Wick 4.
Oh wow,
John Wick 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I know I'm giving Justin a lot of flack in the chat about like believability and all that, but yeah, there were just some parts where I'm like, okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's an action film through and through. But there are just some stuff where I'm like, okay. It's just a feeling, Alex. You know what I mean? Like I don't know why. I think it's 3. It's just a feeling. I just have a feeling. I don't know why. I just have a feeling. You know, when I watch John Wick 1, it gives me like a specific feeling and I love it. Same thing with John Wick 2. It just, I don't know why. It's just like a specific feeling. And number 4 didn't give me that specific feeling. It gave me another feeling. Like my heart was pumping. I was like, yeah, let's do this. But it didn't give me the feeling of number 1 or number 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah, so
sequels can be like that.
Yeah. So John Wick 4 is my number 3.
Okay.
Yes.
It's hard. I mean, honestly, it is hard for a lot of people. Yeah, to me, my number 3 is John Wick 2. Um, I really enjoyed this film. I think all these films kind of suffer just a tiny bit for me, just because I think they're very thin on story. But that's just the way it is because they're action films. The action is the centerpiece of this, not the acting, not the story. It's the action. But granted, what makes these films different is having that story, the world building, the mysticism, like I mentioned. But this film, for me, why it's number 3 is that it does carry that that awesome feeling after seeing the first one, and it's just a cool movie, dude. I don't know what else to say, man. It's just cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love the catacomb scene. That's one of my favorite John Wick action set pieces throughout all these films. So yeah, that's my number 3. What's your number 2, dude?
My number 2 is John Wick 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's John Wick 2. It expands the world. It Shut up, Justin. I did have my rankings set up. I quickly changed them because I tend to change my mind a lot because I love all 4 of these films. You are an idiot. Get out of here. Shut up. All
I
right.
love you, Justin.
No, I don't. You can keep
Oh.
that to yourself. It's John Wick 2. The world building was expanded upon. It showed us another world. It showed us another aspect of John Wick. We go to him. I love a good villain.
Yeah.
I love a good villain, man. And Santino D'Antonio is a good villain. You know, because like John Wick 3 and 4, there's a villain, but there's also not a lot of villains. You know what I mean? You know, he's kind of like fighting people, and they're like, you know, it's a code, so we have to kill you. Sorry. You know what I mean? I think the best villain is the Marquis de Gramont. You know what I mean? I think he's the best villain, but you know, that's why. But yeah, but Santino was a great villain as well, and it expanded the world. John ended up doing something he shouldn't have done, and it just like put this feeling of it, and I just it's this feeling I had, man. It was dope. It was dope, you know.
It opened up the world of the mystical world of the John Wick universe.
Yeah,
and seeing that for the first time, and you could probably attest to this, I just thought it was just really eye opening and just really fascinating.
Yeah,
wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it was quite like so. Like the scene with his sister. Scene was his sister where she cuts her wrists and then the blood just like gushes over her body. She's like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die my way, you know. And then people started, you know, the scenes where people kept talking like, you back, kind of, you working, yeah, you know what I mean, and like and kind of that, and then you know him and Common fighting, and then that when Santino calls him Jonathan, oh my God. You knew he was getting shot right there. Because like I pointed out, Alex, who calls him Jonathan? The only person who calls him Jonathan is Ian McShane's character, Winston. No one calls him Jonathan. Everyone calls him John or Mr. Wick, John or Mr. Wick. But only Winston calls him Jonathan, except one man, and that man ended up getting shot in the head. Santino called him Jonathan, then he got shot right away because you do not call him Jonathan.
Didn't Marquis de Gramont call him Jonathan too?
No, I think he called him John.
I think Kane did. There was a couple characters in the third, fourth one that I think called him Jonathan too.
It's been a minute. I have to rewatch it. So you're probably right.
But
so
yeah, that scene what you're talking about, like how intense that was, and it was.
Winston's like, "Don't do it, John," and then he shoots him. Get out of here, man!
You got to see the full potential of what John could do in the second one. That made it surely a big highlight for me. Exactly. It's a hard Sophie's choice between picking and ranking these films. So my number 2, for me, I would have to say the first John Wick.
That's number 2, really?
Yeah, man. So it's a hard Sophie's choice, and I have to see these movies again. I've seen some more than others. And of course, this new one just came out. So, you know, It's no surprise, I put it as number one, but we'll get that into just a little bit. But my reasoning for number two, being the first film, is that it's just opening to this new world, this new franchise, if you will, and we just all got sucked in, and it has the most emotional and personal story I think out of the other John Wick films. I think the fourth one is very close, and that's kind of why I gave that more of an I elevated that a little bit more, just because of that character. But yeah, man, I thoroughly enjoy this movie. I kind of got. I think
You're an idiot.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
That's 7 times, Justin.
Oh, Justin,
not you.
Idiot. Oh, I don't know. I kind of was a little underwhelmed with the ending of the first film for me. But I love this film overall. I think it's super strong. If it's on TV, I'll watch it. There's no doubt about it. I mean, most of these films, if it's on TV, I'll watch it. So I alluded to what my number one was, which is obviously the fourth one, and I can tell exactly what your number one is. So let it
John
rip.
Wick 1.
First, let it rip.
It's John Wick 1. I love it to this day. It has a very straightforward story. A man just minding his business gets hogwashed by some rando punks. So the car's not for sale. Leave me alone. And then the kids just wouldn't leave him alone. Just wouldn't leave him alone. And it's a great example of like, watch who you mess with. Because you have no idea who you just screwed over or messed with.
It's a good cautionary tale.
It's a cautionary tale of like, don't be an a-hole.
The worst cautionary tale of all time.
Yeah. Like, be nice to people. Compliment his car. Say, hey, man, that's great. If you want to buy it, be like, how much is it? He's like, I'm sorry, man. It's not for sale. It's not for sale. You keep moving on. But you don't keep pushing it, man. You just don't keep pushing it. And then just the way Michael Nyquist just completely goes white when he finds out whose car his son stole. Where, like you go to Aurelio, and I'm like, oh man, Aurelio, like, you work for my dad. It's like, no, I don't. And they get out of here, and he punches him, and then like he goes, and then Michael Nyquist is calling Aurelio, and he's like, I'm about to kill this dude. And Aurelio saves himself by saying one phrase. It's like, you punched my son. Why? And then Aurelio says, it's because he stole John Wick's car.
Yeah.
Vito, or not Vito. What is it?
Vigo.
Vigo. It's like and then Vigo's like, completely forgives Aurelio. Just completely forgives him.
He's like what?
You completely forgives him. Like, okay. And he hangs up. And Vigo's like, oh my God, what is going on? And then the scene where he's telling his son and the Allstate guy, Mayhem, he's telling him like who John Wick is. And he's telling him who John Wick is. And then John is smashing the cement. And he's just smashing it.
And our cuts back and forth.
And he keeps coming back and forth. And then he's like, who is he? He's not the boogeyman. He's like, no, he's not the boogeyman.
He's the guy you send after the boogeyman.
He's the guy you send to kill the boogeyman. And then it's just like, he then like grabs Alfie Allen, kisses him, and says, basically said it was a good time being your father because you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead. Because he knew John was going to kill him one way or another. It is John Wick 1. And then finding out that dog part ruined me, where they kill the dog and the dog's off to the side. And then when they cut back to the dog and there's this trail of blood.
You come back to John.
Yeah, cut back to Don. And then the dog is like laying there with John. Then there's a trail of blood. Which means that
camera pans up.
Yeah, the camera pans up and it's a trail of blood. The dog crawled to John.
Yeah.
Crawled to him.
Such a
wicked
detail.
Yeah, like a wicked detail. So John Wick 1.
And I have no gripes, and I have no gripes with how people rank these certain films, because I think all of them are great in their own regard and really good. And I think the first one, I mean, the only reason why I didn't put the first one as my number one is because it's a similar action kind of film where it's a revenge kind of thing that we've seen multiple times. But the reason why it's number two is because it opened this world. It opened up this world that was became so fascinating as they kept pushing the needle forward with the rest of these films. And so now my number one, like I mentioned earlier, is this new John Wick 4. Now, granted, I've only seen this one once. I need to see it again. I know there's a lot of flaws and problems with this film. I think as this movie gets bigger and bigger, sometimes it loses sensibilities about story and plot holes and whatnot. But the point of a movie is to be entertained and have fun, especially an action film. And they did that in spades. And they did things in here that was just mind blowing to me with Donnie Yen and Mr. Nobody and the overhead sheet scene and the stair scene. But not just that too. Really, if you do well with story and characters, particularly characters, all these characters had their own arc, you know. And the other films, they do have arcs as well. I wish there was more Bowery King. I wish there was maybe a little bit more Winston, of course. And you know, rest in peace, Lance Reddick, for putting such great work into these films. And we'll see him also, I think, in Ballerina too. But I just had so much fun with this new one. This new one is up there. It's one of the greatest action films, along with like The Raid 2 and Raid Redemption. But yeah, man, that's my ranking. It's from least to greatest and in that kind of way. It's John Wick 3, John Wick 2, John Wick 1, and John Wick 4.
Yep, mine goes from 1 to 4, 1 to 4, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gave all these movies like around like 7.5 to 8, and just fathomably enjoyed it. And I also just want to mention just something real quick, since we already just gave our rankings. We talked just a little bit of spoilers, the ending about this film. And I want to ask you personally, Ferris, because there's a big debate online, and I think...
Yeah, let's talk about it. The fate of John Wick, the end scene of John Wick 4. It was. Is he dead?
Is he not?
Or
now,
is he not?
There's some good theories out there. There's some good theories out there. And the one biggest thing I got to mention ahead of all this is that when you watch a movie, in movie world, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't see someone dying on screen...
Are they dead?
Screenwriters can write them in being that they're alive. And they could say that they're dead, and say, oh, they died off screen or whatever, but they can always come back. For this, it's a little tricky because you see him on the stairwell, he's just laying there, and he's flashbacking with Helen. And you think about the whole film in general and the rest of the series, it feels kind of fitting in some certain way.
Mm-hmm.
However, there were some things...
You can't kill John Wick off screen. Like, you can't.
No, I mean...
You can't do it.
I think you think about some of the greatest movie deaths, and I don't want to mention them because it could be spoilery for other people watching this, but they're usually done on screen, and they're either done in a heroic way or a tragic way. And I don't know how they would end up doing this, but this seems pretty lighthearted if it's the way they wanted to go. Because I think if this was the end of John Wick, it would make sense because in one way, the movie's about fate, him accepting death. Much of the obligations John has had to do with the high table cause many of his people and associates to suffer, especially in this movie. But the notion that he's dead ends all the suffering for everyone else. But here's the thing. When that cemetery scene happens, you see the two gravestones. It says Helen Wick, John Wick. Helen Wick, loving wife. John Wick, loving husband. But there's no date on when they died or lived or born or died. And Winston, the Bowery King, and dog are all there. And the dog is just kind of like just looking up and around, kind of like he's around. He's probably just not here. My theory is that I think he's off on an island, just retired and
just chilling, being left alone.
Something like that. But if that was the case, why were they at the gravestone? Maybe they were just checking in to see how it was all set up and maybe like that. But they mentioned in articles about the developers of John Wick when they were making this new one, it was right around 2021. It was supposed to come out alongside with the fourth Matrix, but that never happened because of COVID. But they were going to try to maybe split up the first two the fourth one into 2 parts, but they never did it. It's brought
Oh,
into
good.
one.
That's very good. I quite enjoy that. I hate that splitting that thing into 2 parts nonsense.
Yeah, and but so I don't know, Ferris. I think there is an opening, and
Oh, absolutely. There's an opening, man. You didn't see him die on screen. He's still alive somewhere. You can bring him back, and no one's gonna care, or you can leave him dead. It depends on what you want to do.
You can do an old
kill.
man. Yeah, you can do an old man Logan.
Yeah, you can't. You
with John
don't.
Wick. What did you say?
What?
John Wick is great, but also harms the other films in a way because it is much grounded than all the others. Oh, Justin mentioned something in the chat. That's a good point.
Well, of course, the first one's more grounded because it's very local.
No, it's very grounded. It's more personal.
No, it's local because it just involves them. It involves his business, but then stuff starts local, then it goes global. You step into the world. The world opens up.
And I have problems. I have problems with how they open it up because sometimes it's not as tight because they don't explain about the cops and whatnot. And then again the falling off stuff.
You're worrying about the cops, man. Why are you so worried about the cops? Who cares about the cops, man?
Well, they got to protect the people.
You pro cop?
How are you gonna get all those cars around Arc de Triomphe to be like, where are the cops?
Where the cops at? You want the cops? Why you want cops, man? Oh, you a cop, Alex? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm just worried about the traffic.
You a snitch?
I'm worried about the traffic. No, I'm worried about the traffic, dude. How are all those people gonna get around that one roundabout, man?
Man, traffic stink anyway, man. Just deal with it.
It's 5 o'clock. It's probably 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it looked like 8.
It looked like 7 o'clock, maybe.
It was pretty dark. Yeah, it was pretty late at night.
I mean, and also, I just want to mention too, just real quick, just about the death. We talk about the 5 stages of grief. The 5th one being acceptance, and if the idea is to do another one, it kind of would fit that theory.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about it with acceptance. John's just chilling, maybe on an island, sitting on a chair, drinking Coronas. He's accepting his life, but then something comes, and he's brought back into it one last time, maybe. That's my hope. I think that we both hope and agree that, and we'll be back here for, to talk about it whenever that comes out.
Absolutely, man. If there's a John Wick 5, we will be talking about John Wick 5.
Absolutely.
But on that note, guys, we're almost to an hour 30. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. Before we go, one more. Before we go,
Uno más.
One more time for our sponsor.
Hey guys, it's Justin, aka Hambone, just here to let you know a couple of things that we have going on with the channel. One, we have a Patreon. If you can want to support us, you can do that. Little as $1. You can join the Discord. We also have a merch store where you can get some cool shirts, mugs, and stuff with all of our different shows and labels on there. And thank you for all of our supporters that have already been there with us.
You can join the Patreon, guys, at patreon.com/LGR_network. Boom. But on that note, Alex, where can people find you, my man?
Just chilling here, making graphics, and hopefully reviewing the next John Wick film whenever that comes out. Or we have some maybe other possible rewatch series we might be doing. We're not going to announce yet, but stick around for that.
Absolutely. I'm Ferris Maloney from Ferris Maloney on Twitter. I'm here. I'm also on our sports channel, LGRN, the highlights. Every Friday, 3 o'clock, live or pre-taped, Good Friends, Better Rivals. With me and Caleb, we talk NFC East and football. So there's that as well. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate the support for this series. I think the next one is probably Indiana Jones.
Maybe.
Another little tease it.
Maybe something a little earlier.
Maybe a little earlier as well. Well, thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful night. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.